It's Friday, July 31st. Welcome aboard to this edition of Barnstable Today. I'm Kevin Friel.
And I'm Andrew Gobiel. Thank you very much for joining us.
We'd like to remind you that the meetings we cover are available on demand at the town's website, www.town.barnstable.ma.us.
A lot of stuff to cover in today's edition of Barnstable Today. You wouldn't think that it would be the last Friday in July. It's supposed to be a nice quiet time. Very busy goings on here in the town of Barnstable. First, of course, we are here on the Village Green in Hyannis, where final preparations are underway for this weekend's version of Pops by the Sea. Angie Dickinson, the guest conductor, the Boston Pops, coming on down. More information on that coming up in just a moment. But first, Thursday night, in a meeting that we covered, the town's energy coordinator, Richard Ulrich, spoke about a wonderful opportunity the town has now been given with federal stimulus funds to come up with alternative energy resources. For a complete version of that event, just head to our website, the town's website, and under Video on Demand, pull up Renewable Energy Projects. You can see that whole presentation. It lasted about 28 minutes.
In just over a month, the town's newest facility is scheduled to open. The new Hyannis Youth and Community Center, replacing the old Kennedy skating rink, is scheduled to open on time.
The $20+ million project, again scheduled to open on time. We had an opportunity to tour the facility on Thursday amidst all of the workers there. We heard first from project manager John Juros and also from recreation officials David Curley and Patty Machado.
We're now joined with John Juros, the owner's project manager for the town of Barnstable here at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. At any moment, crews might start getting back into work, so you might hear some beeping, some noises behind us, but that's all very normal. John, last we were with you, you were telling us all about the construction that was ongoing at the time. Could you do that? Catch us up to speed on what's gone on in the past 6 months, and then tell us what we're looking at finalizing these days.
Well, the good news is we've been able to move the project along much faster. We were supposed to have this project finished by mid-January, actually, and in fact, we're going to be opening up in September. The rec department is moving in on the 17th of August, and they'll be setting up their offices. Furniture is now being loaded into the building. A lot of cleaning operations are underway. The ice operation, this is the sand bed behind us in the Kennedy rink. That's already underway. That's hard surface now. It's frozen. And as the contractor moves off the ice area, we'll be layering in a layer upon layer of ice, and we'll get about 1.25 inches of ice on top of that. And we'll be doing the same in the other rink as well, so that's happening. So we are in reasonable shape. Site work outside the building is well ahead of schedule now. I'd say in a couple of weeks you won't even recognize it. There'll be pavement everywhere, irrigation's going in, sidewalks, planting. We expect to have most of that completed for the opening of the building.
One other project that's ongoing that's a town project is the Bursa's Way street design. And previously you had mentioned that before. Could you just possibly tell us where that street project is?
Well, that's not exactly in my corner of the world, but It is Public Works, and it is the highway group. They are working on that. Our hope was to have that completed for the opening of the building. Because the utility lines are pretty intense in that area, poles have been put in, but N-Star, Verizon, and Comcast have to do their work in order to move the final poles out of the way. So we're going to be held back a little bit for that, but that'll happen fairly quickly. I think each trade needs a couple weeks to do that, so it will still take them a while.
All right, John, I want to know what your experience was like building a $25 million skating rink. How was that? How does that sort of fit into things that you've done before or things that you hope to do in the future?
Well, for the municipality, it's a pretty major project, and it is. For me in my career path, it's on a little bit on the smaller side of life. but in terms of the intensity and the involvement, the technology, it's been interesting because you have a major refrigeration plant in here. We have some energy conservation measures that we've employed in the project, some active energy producing devices. So that's made it very interesting.
We're now with David Curley, Director of Barnstable Recreation. David, we last spoke to you 6 months ago. Catch us up to speed a little bit on what's gone on.
Well, certainly, Kevin, it's been an exciting time for us over the last 6 months. We have put together a number of contracts with a number of users in this town, in surrounding towns, and for the September 1 date, we're looking real good, especially on the ice end. We have the ice rented from September to April, from early morning hours of 6 a.m. to midnight, and we're very excited about getting the users in and getting this operation going.
We're with Patty Machado here in the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. She is the town's Assistant Director of Recreation. Patty, this place is really starting to come together. It looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome for the town of Barnstable kids. I can't wait to get them in here.
So you must be really excited and working really hard on getting programs ready for this new building. There are so many components to it that your programs go from skating all the way to book studies for these kids that will be using this center. Why don't we just start talking about what you have in mind and what the programs will be?
Well, our program coordinators, each one of them is working diligently to add a lot more programming, obviously. With the space, we can fill it. You know, we want to have it full all the time. And I know that the man that's going to be running this part of the facility is trying to bring in a lot of talk programs, a lot of senior programs, some dance programs, all things that we currently don't have. You know, a tumble class, a Zumba class, you know, so there's a wide spectrum of different programming that we'll have. We'll also have a walking track class. You know, so we're trying to add as many programs in this part of the facility, the youth center part, as well as different programs into the rink. We're trying to figure out if we're able to do flashlight tag on the ice. We've been really researching a lot more programs.
And finally, the Martin Flynn scholarships were handed out Thursday. Town Manager John Klim and committee member Len Gobeil spoke.
The committee members to my right are Nancy Vecchione and Debbie Hill and Jack Marsden, and of course our town manager John Klim and Janice Cliggett, all members of the committee.
Len has asked me to say a few words, knowing that I have had a long association with Marty Flynn. I had the distinct honor and pleasure in the early 1980s of serving on the Board of Selectmen with Marty. And I just want to say a few words about him because it is because of his efforts that we're here today. When he was a selectman, he always tried to do whatever he could for our community's young. And towards the end of his term, he came up with the idea of a scholarship to be funded through the generosity of the residents of Barnstable through a tax checkoff on our tax bills. And I can remember at the time more than a few folks thinking that it wasn't a great idea or that no one would do it and it might work for 1 year or whatever. Well, that was back in the 80s, and here we are today still giving out checks.
And remember, you as residents control the amount of money in that scholarship fund by making donations on your annual tax bills.
And once again, a very fast-moving edition of Barnstable Today. We'll have more on these issues next week on Barnstable Today, but for now, Kevin and other meteorologists are promising fantastic weather over the weekend, so if you're still interested, you can get some tickets for the Pops by the Sea, which is going to take place here Sunday afternoon. For Kevin Friel, I'm Andrew Gobeil. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great weekend.